In a game like Skyrim, it's easy to overlook the quiet places. You're usually too busy slaying dragons, shouting enemies off cliffs, or watching entire cities crumble under civil war. But sometimes, if you stop rushing from quest marker to quest marker, you'll find something different. Not dangerous, not magical, just different. It's an inn, a simple wooden inn, like dozens of others scattered across Skyrim, but this one is different. Because so few come here, no one needs it, and yet it's still here, waiting. This is Nightgate Inn, and it might just be the loneliest place in all of Skyrim. Nightgate Inn is located in the snowy nowhere between Windhelm and Dawnstar. It's not near a city, it's not even near a road, it sits awkwardly in the wilderness, tucked between snowbanks and crumbling trees like someone plopped it into the world and forgot to connect it to anything. You won't find any guards here, no shopkeepers, no children running around, just the wind, the snow, and a single man behind the counter. His name is Hadring. He runs the place, though it's never quite clear why. Let's talk about what makes this place so strange. First of all, I would like to point out that the inn, while it's out of the way from a lot of the Skyrim world, it did help me in some ways as I was making the perilous journey from Whiterun to Winterhold, for no apparent reason other than the fact that I was bored and didn't want to fast travel like everyone else. The inn made for a great resting stop as a blizzard started to kick up and my horse began to believe it was a bad idea to keep going. But anyway, in Skyrim, inns serve a purpose. In Whiterun, the Banned Mare is filled with locals, mercenaries, and travellers. In Riften, the Bee and Barb is packed with shady characters and drunks. They are social spaces, alive with conflict, conversation, and narrative potential. But Nightgate Inn? Nightgate Inn is silent. When you enter, there's no music. Just the low hum of a fire pit and the occasional cough from the man behind the bar. Sometimes a few NPCs will be there. The orc who basically just stays in the cellar every day, and Full Theme, an old man who basically also lives there as well even though he complains about it 24/7. This place does feel like a hiding spot, like it wasn't made for comfort. Comparing this to Whiterun's inn, the Banned Mare, in which you walk in and are immediately greeted by a man drumming or playing the flute, and more than one person sitting down. Nightgate Inn just seems like one of those ghost towns you'd find in the middle of the American desert. The main room of the inn gives off a vibe that it hasn't seen more than 20 people in the last few years, and that's what gives it such an odd vibe. This is where it gets weirder. There is no town around Nightgate Inn, no village, no associated mine, no travellers. It's not near a trade route, there's nothing to support it, and to be honest, the only reason I found it was because I was making the journey from Whiterun to Winterhold through the mountains. Most inns in Skyrim are placed where they make sense. Riverwood has one because it's a lumber town, Ivarstead has one because it's at the foot of the 7,000 steps. But Nightgate, it's the middle of nothing, which raises the question, why does this building actually exist? And who was it really meant to serve? But we don't really get an answer. Not in the game, not in the dialogue, and not in the lore. You could argue that it's for hunters or passerbys, but even that feels like a stretch. There are almost no random encounters nearby, no patrols, no carriages, no foot traffic. However, there's the odd chance that you do end up passing by a trio of people travelling to another town through the mountains. But you have to go out of your way to find this place. And when you do, it feels like you weren't supposed to be here at all. Like the world forgot to erase it. Let's talk about Hadring. He's the innkeeper. He has a little family who he talks about in his dialogue. He mostly only talks about how the inn was built by his great-grandad. No backstory and no apparent life outside of this single room. He's voiced by a generic Nord voice actor and says a few polite lines, but nothing more than what's prompted. And yet, he's always here, always behind the counter, as if he's waiting for something. He doesn't comment on dragons, or the war, or the death of the Emperor. Even though the world is collapsing, he just says, "Let me know if you need anything." And somehow, that's worse. It's one thing for a place to be somewhat abandoned. It's another for it to pretend it's still functioning, even when it clearly isn't. Nightgate Inn isn't just empty. It's worse than that. It's hollow. Here's the thing. Skyrim is a massive world. It's full of detailed cities, scripted quest hubs, branching dialogues. But there are also fragments, leftover corners, unexplored ideas, half-buried concepts that never really got finished. And Nightgate Inn might be one of them. It could have been meant for something bigger, a town that never got built, a quest line that was cut, a hub that lost its context. But instead of deleting it, Bethesda left it in, fully furnished, lightly populated, and completely detached from everything else. It's like finding a chair in an empty warehouse. You sit in it, but you can't shake the feeling that you weren't meant to. But most importantly, the Nightgate Inn probably just acts as a rest stop for any traveller who dares to go through the mountains. And that makes it one of the most remarkable places in Skyrim. A place that was built to house people, but houses almost no one. But who was Hadring before all this? There's no quest about Hadring and no journal. But this absence invites questions. Who is this man really? And why did he choose this place? We know that his great-granddad founded this inn. But given no one ever comes here, except for the Orc and Fultheme, why would he stay? Hadring could have run an inn in any major hold. Inns are always needed in cities like Solitude or Riften. Instead, he chose to live alone in a snow-blanketed ruin of a road, serving close to no one. Even bandits don't wander in. That's not bad business, that's intentional isolation. Maybe this place wasn't always empty. Maybe there was once a nearby lumber camp or a mountain pass that got buried. Maybe Hadring stayed behind when everyone else left. Or maybe he was sent here in exile, a punishment disguised as hospitality. He never complains, he never asks for help, he just waits, every day and every hour. Waiting for customers who never come, selling food no one eats, making beds no one sleeps in. And maybe, just maybe, he prefers it that way. Nightgate Inn might not be haunted by ghosts, but Hadring himself feels like one. A remnant of a forgotten purpose, a man who chose silence when the world had too much noise. What's truly eerie about Nightgate Inn is that you, the player, are often its first real visitor in years. When you walk in, nothing special happens. There's no cutscene, no quest marker. Just the quiet acknowledgement that you've stumbled into a place that rarely sees visitors. And that's where the discomfort begins. Because Skyrim is a game of recognition. Walk into Whiterun and people know your name. Bards sing about your exploits. Enemies run from your shouts. But at Nightgate Inn, no one knows you. No one even seems to care that you're there. It's like the world pauses, or maybe forgets you exist while you're inside. This makes Nightgate one of the few places in the game where your power means absolutely nothing. You could be the Dragonborn, or the listener of the Brotherhood, and Hadring still just shrugs and offers you a bed. And maybe that's why this place feels so lonely. Not because who's in it, but because of what it strips away from you. The attention, the purpose, the noise. For a few minutes, you're not a hero or a killer. You're just another quiet guest in a place that's trying to forget. Nightgate Inn isn't haunted. It isn't magical. There's no big twist, no boss fight, no secret treasure. It's just lonely. A perfectly good building, fully staffed with food, drinks, and beds. And no one to use it. A place made for community that has none. A space meant for warmth that now just holds air. And maybe that's the point. Because not everything in Skyrim has to be dramatic or epic or game-changing. Sometimes the emptiest places are the ones that speak the loudest.